GTM Rapidfire, where we bring along GTM leaders from across the world and ask them about their best kept secrets. The format is pretty simple, just 5 questions, the rapid fire way, short and sweet, and informative. I'm really excited to introduce today's guest. Uh, Nate, welcome to the show. Nate is currently working as a product evangelist at Hightouch. He's a problem solver who loves technology and to build great experiences. He's worked with major B2C publishers and marketplaces, and he's well known for being great with data, people, and of course, bringing them together to get things done. I'll let him introduce himself even better than what I did. So, yeah, Nate, welcome to the show. Why don't you give us like a short intro of like what you're doing, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I work in product evangelism, product marketing, sort of that hybrid at Hightouch, which is a composable customer data platform and AI decisioning platform. So I've been at this company for about 2 years, but in the industry for a little while. And I think, gosh, your intro was perfect. I don't have anything I'd change. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Cool. Good to know I did my homework well. Um, I would start with asking the question that I had when I looked at your profile. What does a product evangelist do? Is it just like is it just a fancy title or yeah, I'm sure it's not, but like, just kidding. But like, what is it? Like, what do you do? What does a day-to-day look like?
To be clear, somewhat fancy title, right? Like it's definitely something the closest parallel is like product marketing, right? Storytelling is everything. And I think that's part of why we think about evangelism as this role. Really, my job is to be a public facing advocate for our products. And so what that can actually mean on the day to day, sometimes it means I'm writing blogs, sometimes I'm interviewing customers, I'm working on case studies or videos, going to conferences and presenting and meeting customers. Sometimes I'm even meeting with analysts who look at our industry. So people at organizations like Gartner and Forrester. It's a really varied role, but overall, it's being an advocate. That's what it's all about. Um, yeah.
That's lovely. So you pretty much do everything. What's your favorite part about like everything? Like,
It's a good question. I mean, generally working with customers is great, right? Like that's where
yeah.
the magic happens. That's how you can tell if a product's working or not. So when I get to interview customers or work on conference presentations, like that's just incredibly rewarding, and sort of grounds like the why for everything
Yeah.
we do.
Perfect. On that note, you talk about building great experiences. So what does these building great experiences in when it comes to building products or even product design for that matter, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so I'll caveat in my current role, I'm not directly responsible for product development. I have been in product roles before, so I can speak a little bit to that and just how I see that philosophy play out here at High Touch. Um, it's cliche, but I feel like the best thing is to know the job your customers need to get done. Like, what do they actually want to achieve? This is not like a novel thought by me, but that really gets you into that customer first way of thinking rather than a product first way of thinking. Like you can fall into this trap of like doing incremental bug fixes and UI cleanups and just like investing in your product in a silo without asking yourself, what do my customers need? Like what are they trying to do? Because sometimes that requires pivots or new direction, rather than just like the straight and narrow path ahead of you with the product you're working on.
Right. And when it comes to like building these experiences, there might be like a lot of things because you have a customer facing role. You must realize that there are a lot of things to focus on. Do you have any like framework or anything that you love to do to sort of like prioritize these things, especially when the like different customers want different things and it's all over the place? How do you then sort of like pick it and tie it back to like your product?
Gosh, yeah, that's a great question. Again, not part of my current role, but I'll say in the past, there's a common framework called RICE, which is
Mhm.
reach, impact, confidence, effort. So
Yeah.
sort of like weighing out, there's like a little calculation of like weigh out those things. That's one like sort of analytical way to tackle a problem. You don't take the math sort of at face value. It's really more to force you to think and stack rank these priorities because you have to be a ruthless prioritizer. There's more that you could ever possibly do. So you want to make the biggest possible impact for the most customers as quickly as possible, right? That's sort of like the opportunistic thing in front of you. Um, so that's like one way I've thought about it in the past. Again, the challenge with that is sometimes that can get you down a linear path of the obvious things in front of you, and it's important to be able to take that step back and think outside of what customers are explicitly asking for, outside of that specific feature matrix, to holistically, what could you be solving for your customers? Um, yeah, that's the one challenge. I think you need to step out of that prioritization exercise to think big picture outside of the narrow list of things that are in front of you.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I liked how you had that framework at the top of your mind. Like definitely you use a lot of framework. Uh, um, what has been one of your favorite, like it can be a campaign, it can be any decision that you made at work that you absolutely like recall and be like, I can't believe I made that decision. Right? That was such like I did such a great job there. What's that kind of a campaign that you've had till now?
Oh, that's a great question. I've had a lot of ones I've enjoyed in the past. You know what? I'm going to just talk about one that I'm currently working on that I'm really
Of course.
excited about. It hasn't shipped yet, but it's sort
Yeah.
of cool. So I'm getting to work with one of our customers for an upcoming conference, and it'll be one where I'm joining them on stage. And I think it's just a really cool story, and it's a conference that's pretty focused. So the conference is Loyalty Expo, which will be this May in Orlando. So it's all these loyalty practitioners, people who are in charge of loyalty programs, the points system at Starbucks or wherever else, which I think is a really awesome like marketing use case. I'm speaking with one of our customers from Domino's and talking about how they're using us to help power their loyalty system, which is responsible for a meaningful number of, their digital orders and sales, and is a really cool part of their strategy. Um, so I'm really just I'm enjoying this project, like Domino's is an incredible brand and they're doing great stuff with us. Nicole, who I'm presenting with, is just so smart and so wonderful to work with. Um, and I'm really looking forward to the conference, honestly, because it's probably the most focused conference I'll ever have been at. Like loyalty is such a specific problem that organizations tackle, as opposed to, many conferences I've been to are like pretty broad. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about right now.
That's such a cool brand to work with as well. I think like all of us they've loved Domino's at some point in their lives. We just ordered from there. Um, on that note, like because like we've talked about a lot about you working with a lot of cross-functional teams. How do you sort of bring them together? And again, because you're talking to the customers, and then you have to sort of go and talk to the GTM team about it. And in fact, you have to also like even for the conference, probably like you have to like talk to a lot of people and then bring everything together, stitch it together in one campaign, one thing. Um, so what do you do to align this between teams because you are at that position to like sort of to do that? How do you do that? Like are there any tools you use, any frameworks, anything?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is a work in progress for me, and I think like for our larger organization, we're figuring it out because we've grown so quickly. We're sort of making it up as we go. I think the sort of key thing that we're doing right now, which is working, is aligning our product team with our product marketing and evangelists. So that's sort of like the main point of connectivity, and then like product works with engineering and design more directly, and product marketing works with the rest of go-to-market and sales more directly. So that sort of is like the moment of connection between these sort of two major parts of the organization, where you need like pretty constant communication and deep understanding of what each other is doing and like bi-directional feedback loops, right? So like product will come to me and talk about upcoming features that we'll be shipping, and I'll think through, stories and what this might mean for our customers. And at the same time, I'm coming to product with ideas and things I'm hearing from Gartner analysts or Forrester analysts or our customers as well. So yeah, it's really a tight relationship. And then, each of us takes what we learn from that relationship to our respective parts of the organization. That's how it's happening today.
Yeah, that's lovely. I'm sure that's working well for you all. I also saw in your profile that you have worked for Teach for America, and such a beautiful cause, and you've worked there for around like 2 years. And so I definitely wanted to bring it up, like, what made you pick that, and how was the experience like, in general, like, it's just been like, 2 years is a long time. So yeah, how did
Yeah.
you think?
Um, I had always, loved working with kids and students and education. Like I had volunteered that way throughout high school and college. So Teach for America felt like a logical way to continue sort of that service mindset and like work in social justice. There was a lot of wonderful things about that, right? Like it's what I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's what put me here. You know, they just like place you somewhere. So I didn't have any connections here at first, but it was really incredible to get to know this community, the challenges and historical like racism that have been like super present here in the South, but also like the incredible work that people are doing on social justice and in the schools here. So I'm incredibly grateful for the experience. It's a challenging experience, and honestly, after a couple of years, I realized, listen, for my day-to-day job, I can't be this immersed. Like it was taking enough of a toll that it's like I need to find ways to be active in social justice and like advocating for our communities without it necessarily being my 9 to 5, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, but I really loved the experience. I'll say like one thing that I saw there and learned there was like an interesting experience I had that I think about a lot now that I'm in more of a marketing role. The school I was at was sort of a classic school that Teach for America serves. They were having trouble recruiting teachers, hence why they would bring in Teach for America. So, you know, the math teacher that I was teaching middle school. So all my kids went to the same English teacher, the same math teacher. I was their science teacher. Their math teacher left after the holiday break in December. And so the rest of the year, we never were able to find another math teacher. And my students didn't learn math for half of the year, which is crazy, right? Like it's awful. Um, the next year, our school was branded as a partial science magnet. Nothing meaningfully changed, right? Like we didn't have more money, but because of this branding, all of a sudden we were able to recruit really experienced teachers and fill every possible position. Um, so it was an incredible on the ground lesson for like the importance of a story, right? Like there was this story, this school is going to be a partial science magnet. And all of a sudden, you have this incredible talent coming through the door, and you're not having trouble filling positions. And that story then became reality because now you have these great teachers who are filling these positions. So, this school turnaround, which I was so lucky to be a part of, having been there for the before and the during and after, really all came from a story. And so that's when I think about like what we do in marketing and evangelism. Like that's the importance of storytelling. It's not just talking about what's happening, you're affecting how people think and make decisions, and in some small way, at least, change the world, even if you're selling software.
That's lovely because that was my follow-up question of how you sort of tied it down, tied it back to marketing. And you said that beautifully. I think, yeah, it starts with stories, it ends with story. That's what marketing at its core is. And I really appreciate what you did for like, 2 years. I'm sure like it must be a lot. Because I've been part of a lot of like these programs as well. I've done Teach for India for a very short time, and it takes a lot of toll on you because I couldn't do it like beyond like 2 or 3 months because I was like, I love teaching, I love these kids, and I would love to like just contribute it, but like I don't feel like I can just give while also like understanding everything that's happening there, and every place
Yeah,
will have their problems of its own. And when you see that, and then you see the bubble that you live in, sort of like, your privileged bubble, and just makes you feel that what is reality and where are we living in. So I really, really appreciate, like, it takes a lot to do that for 2 years, and good job on that. Um, but those were my 5 questions for you today. Any closing thoughts, tips, tricks that you want to share with anyone listening?
gosh. Well, hey, thank you so much for having me on. This has been such a pleasure. Honestly, this is somewhat obvious, but you have to enjoy the people you're with at the end of the day, right? Like that's what makes any job bearable or unbearable is the
Yeah.
people you get to work with. And that's, I feel lucky to be where I am today. And if you're in marketing, knowing that it's all about stories, being hungry for that next story, that next customer you get to talk to, that next conference, that next collaboration with a partner. Keeping that ear out for like, oh, I think there's a moment here we should be talking about. Is sort of what keeps me going on the day to day. And now, as I'm 2 years into this role, um, I'm still interested every day because of that. So yeah, just stay hungry, stay curious, I guess.
Love that. Thank you so much for joining in and thank you for your time. That was it. Yeah,
Hey, so wonderful to talk. Thank you so much for having me on.
thank you.